Good morning, students. Today we will complete the poem Lotus Eaters by Robert Tennyson. This is the fourth part. As we have seen in the previous three parts, that all the mariners who are returning from the Trojan Wars now they have stayed on an island which is full of lotus. After eating those lotus, they feel drowsy and they decided to stay there. And all of them give region after region for staying on that island. And after that, they all of them sings the choric song, and this is the uh, seventh part of choric song. Now I will read out the poem, and then we will discuss. Seventh part. But prompt on the beds of Amrath and Molly, how sweet, while warm air lull us, blowing lovely, with half-dropped eyelid still beneath a heaven dark and holy, to watch a long bright river drawing slowly, his waters from the purple hill. So as this stanza opens, the lazy sailors are dreaming about their new life on the island of the Lotus Eaters. They imagine themselves reclining on the beds of plants with warm, sweet air blowing all around them. That sounds pretty good. The two plants they mention here are quite significant too. Emrath is a legendary flower that never wilted, so it is a great symbol of the freedom from pain and suffering, and these guys are looking for. Molly is mentioned in Homer as a medical herb that contracted the poison of evil witch saves. So here a little more of one sailor's favorite theme, that being half asleep. Here they imagine that their eyes being half closed after under a dark sky. That's another image that both quiet and calm, a little spooky and death-like too. So these mariners will be so chilled out in their lotus as that they won't need any more entertainment than watching the river fill up with water. That sounds also great. So this second to last stanza is full of images that echo the beginning of the poem. Remember, as we have last heard about this river in the second stanza, it's a subtle touch that it helps to make the poem feel semantic, ordinary, and calm. So, uh, all these lines, so they again see. So, next stanza to watch the long river. Yes, to watch the emerald colored water falling through many a woven ocean to wrath divine. So water and plants are dominant image in this stanza. It's all sort of beautifully simple, a completely calm and uncomplicated life. So the Axianth was another plant that the ancient Greeks loved. Its shape it even incorporated into the top of Corinthian column, like the Molly and Amrath mentioned in these previous lines. This plant is associated in the poem with a kind of hoard powder. The sailor can't call it divine. So these again we have seen that these to watch the long bright river drawing slowly his water from purple hill. Now come to the next stanza to hear the dewy echoes calling from cave to cave through the thick wind vine to watch the emerald color water falling to many a woven exeunt wraith divine, only to hear and see far off sparkling bribe, only to hear were sweet stretch out beneath the pine. As we have seen, these sailors are quite tired. So they want to hear only the Devi echoes calling from cave to cave. And they just wanted to rest on the certain plants and only to hear and see far off sparkling waves and only here to sweet stretch out beneath the pine. They just want to rest there. Now come to the next stanza. Next stanza is the lotus bloom below the barren peak. The blows by every winding creek. All day the wind breathes low with mellower tone through every hollow cave and alley lawn. Round and round the spicy down the yellow lotus is blown. So another image of these lotus, these mariners, so that they just want to this lotus. So the lotus bloom below the barren peak, the lotus blows by every winding creek. So this is a start of poems. We are coming to the last stanza, the final chunk of Seller's song. It is by the far longest stanza of this poem. The lotus-eating sailors go on to the high note. They start this last stanza by singing for to and about the lotus, which is after all the reason for the whole poem. Apparently, the plant grows everywhere on this island, both in the mountain and both down on the creeks. So, this here the poet used the great uh, alliteration in this line, blow bloom below barren. So this sounds match the seller's bouncy enthusiasm for the lotus. Then next lines, all day the wind breathes low with mellower tone through every hollow cave and alley lawn. So these sailors just love to sing about the sights and sounds of their new home. They they are enchanted with this place and they never get tired of telling us about the wind and the cave. Notice how there is always a balance in this poem between the feeling of calm and relaxation. As we see, the wind is low and mellower, and spooky loneliness. The caves are hollow and alleys are lone. Oh, so these are the things. Even though the sellers tell us everything is great, Tennyson's word choice lets know that something about the paradise isn't. This is right. So, and in the next lines, round and round the spicy down, the yellow lotus lust is blown. We have had enough to action and of motion we. Even as the seller slump deeper into their lotus coma, the song picks up speed, and as we can see, this is a quite this stanza is quite Tennysonian in the form. Now come to the next one. We have had enough of action and motion. We rolled straightward, rolled to larboard when the surge was seething free, where the welling monster spouted the foam fountain in the sea. Let's swear an oath and keep it and with eternal mind in the sorry. Yes, so let's swan on an oath and keep it with equal mind in the hollow lotus land to live and lie reclined on the hills like gods together, careless of mankind. Now they take an oath. So we had this said they are giving another reason that throughout our life we have enough of action and we have roomed a lot. So we rode starboard, rode to larboard when the surge was seething free, and when the wallowing monster spouted the foam fountain in the sea. So now they say, let's swear an oath and keep. We will all keep this oath with equal mind. And what was their decision to lie on that lotus land, just in the same way as God live on the hills, and are not they are careless to mankind. So we will also be careless to others, and we will remain here. Now, for they lie beside their nectar, and bolts are hard. Far below them in the valleys, and clouds are lightly cast. All these gods lie on the mountains and beside their nectar, and they are round their golden houses gilded with the gloaming word, where they smile in secret, looking over wasted lands, bright, blight and famine, plague and earthquake, roaring deep and fiery sands, clanging fights, flaming towns, sinking ships, and fraying hands. These all images are associated with the destruction. So these mariners again and again they present an image. So their image are quite significant. So they say that the seller wants to know uh, that we have roomed a lot, and now they want to know that even if the lotus pollen is rushing around, they are staying put, and now they will cease their voyages. So all of the sudden, these sellers are decided these guys are remembering their sick days and when they were rolled by, from the stars, and they also remember the sight of uh, tempests. Now the seller decide to promise and to keep it steadily with an, and then they are never going to leave this island. This is their decision. And then they think that as the god, they would they just like to live like the Greek gods. They want to sit up in the hills together with the gods on the as the gods sit on the Mount Olympus. So they will be careless about the happens of the other people as the gods are careless with the human being. And these lines which represents that lifestyle of Greek gods. They drink nectar, legendary drink of the god, and every now they throw the light of bowl down into the valleys below them, the good measure. So the whole image is about height, about getting away from the trouble and pain, and a bird eye view of humanity. The seller think they have won the jackpot in their new home. Life won't bother them anymore. And then uh, they suddenly think start of seeming a little sinister. The gods don't just have nice digs; they also smile while they look out on the deserted, wasted lands of humanity. It's not just that they don't have to worry about human problems; they also cause them and then laugh at them. Yeah, it's a kind of complicated between the Greeks and their gods. Then this is basically a list of the horrible things that humans have to deal with, the catastrophe of all kinds that make them pray for mercy. So the sailors are really emphasizing the contrast between the human world and the world of the gods, and this is of course symbolic of the difference between the outside and the lotus land. Now come to the next stanza. But they smile. They find a music centered in doleful song, streaming of lamentation and ancient tale of wrong. Like a tale of little meaning, through the words are strong, scented from an ill-used race of men that cleave the soil, sow the seed and reap and harvest their enduring toil, storing yearly little dews of wheat and wine and oil. Now come to this stanza. Uh, like it tell when the gods hear the song, it's not really the specific complaint that interests them. They hear strong words, but it doesn't mean much to them. They hear a kind of pleasant drone from the abused, beaten up folks down below. So these people down below work in the fields and have to plow the earth to survive. The image of cutting into the ground makes even working a living seem hard and violent. So these human beings, human life goes on and on in a boring, painful routine. As we know, that harvest and so on. Every year you get a few crops of store up, but even that doesn't so great. So what's the importance of the toil that never end? Toil is a big word for the seller. It pretty and sums up the attitude toward the normal life and even it. So now come to the next stanza. Till they perish and they suffer. Some it's whispered down the hill, suffer endless anguish. Another in the Elysian valleys dwell, resting weary limbs on the last on the beds of Estrophe. So these only human beings suffer. Nobody, finally, these poor worn out folk dies. Some of them go to hell and they are suffering and right on bad times. There is an alternative, though some people get on to Elysian, a version of the heaven in ancient Greek religion. In these Elysian valleys, the afterlife was pretty sweet. We wonder, and then finally, after all that digging and plowing and sweating and dying, worn out, human couldn't relax in Elysian Valley. They could die down on the floors of human could relax. They die on the flowers of paradise. Astrophel, a mythical flower that was supposed to be grown in Elysium. So, in the next and the last stanza, what happens? Surely, now come to these things. Now come to the final lines. They say that surely this slumber is more sweet than toil. Surely slumber is more sweet than labor in the deep mid-ocean wind and wave. Oh, rest ye, brother mariners, we will no wonder more. So this is their decision. And they finally say, surely slumber is more sweet than toil. Toil mean to hard work, and they prefer slumber more. Slumber mean this sleeping. Finally, after all the this, they could lie down on the floors. So this they are pretty pleased with themselves, and those soft sounds like surely slumber. These words are just like a lullaby and urging to others to forget each and everything. So they decide that it's a way better to rest and sleep on the shore than to be out fighting on the ocean. So, one last time, the sailors promise each other that they will never leave the beautiful enchanted land of the Lotus Eater, and their feet are coming down, and they, of course, they are ready to rest there. So, this was the poem. I think all of you have understand.